breaking news. Trump pushes for a Gaza ceasefire amid rising tensions with Iran. President Donald Trump is actively working towards achieving a ceasefire in Gaza next week, a move that will coincide with his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. Trump's diplomatic team is diligently working on closing the gaps between Hamas and Israel to forge an agreement that would both release hostages and cease the hostilities. The upcoming discussion in the Oval Office reflects Trump's recent controversial decision to target Iranian nuclear sites, a bold move that split opinions among his ardent supporters who expected him to avoid further military conflicts. Trump has expressed his intention to strongly urge Netanyahu to resolve the conflict, predicting that a deal could materialize as early as next week. Hamas is currently considering a revised 60-day ceasefire proposal mediated by Qatar and Egypt. According to Hamas, mediators are working round the clock to bridge differences and establish a foundational framework that could facilitate intensive negotiations. Israel, on its part, anticipates Netanyahu and Trump to not only announce a ceasefire, but also potentially establish agreements with additional neighboring Arab countries. This veto holds significant importance, commented Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon. Netanyahu afforded more flexibility now, with a rise in popularity following the US-Israel strikes on Iran, seems positioned to consent to a peace deal despite resistance from his far-right cabinet members. Polls indicate that 82% of Jewish Israelis support these actions. Yet Israeli officials maintain that the ceasefire discussions provide avenues for ongoing combat. It's not a commitment to ending the war, Danon stated. According to a summary analyzed by the Washington Post, the latest proposal, dated June 30th, would see Hamas release 28 Israeli hostages in 5 stages across the ceasefire period. The agreement also facilitates immediate humanitarian aid delivery to Gaza, coordinated by the United Nations and the Palestine Red Crescent Society. One of the critical components of this deal involves the non-televised release of hostages. The UN and Israel will gain critical information about the condition of remaining hostages and the whereabouts of those detained by Israeli forces during the conflict. However, negotiations have been ongoing, beset by a profound disagreement between Israel's wish for a temporary ceasefire and Hamas's demand for a permanent resolution and Israeli withdrawal. They're an ongoing debate. Should Israel opt for a long-term agreement with Gaza, focusing on the broader implications for security and regional peace? Or should they prioritize immediate political gains? We want to hear your thoughts. Can the ceasefire lead to a new peace era? Or will it simply be a temporary pause in a protracted conflict? Share your perspectives in the comments below. Let's get the conversation started.